How do you make something like this fit into something like this every single time without having to worry about print settings and make sure that that thing doesn't snap off every time you try to force them together? So vertical pins are something that comes up a lot. People like to make these types of pins in order to act as finding features with something that will be pressing down on top of it. But vertical pins and vertical holes can have a few tricks to them. The biggest one is just the fact that that wants to snap off every single time it gets tweaked a little bit, and the two of them don't always want to fit together. So let's start off with very basics right here. This part is very poorly designed. The reason is because that top cylinder is just a cylinder, there is no filleting anywhere, and that hole is the exact same size as the bottom. So let's go ahead and get past this basic kind of noob mistake and move on to a correct one. First of all, the bottom hole has a fillet in the top so that it's possible for something to be pressed into it, to be funneled into it. That's the very simple one right there. This hole is also made just a hair larger than the actual pin that is meant to go into it, so that there's margin there around the shrinkage of it all. This is about 1/4 millimeter. You can sometimes go up to 1/2 millimeter depending on the shrink of your materials, but 1/4 is generally fine. The pin itself is where we're gonna focus. Now, with that original red one, it was just a cylinder straight up in the air, but it's small and thin. The very first thing to make a 3D printed part stronger is to make it fatter. You increase the diameter of that pin, and now it won't break off quite as easily. But then, where is it going to break off? Well, it's gonna break off down at the base of the pin. So fillet that just a little bit, and it will match perfectly with the fillet on your hole. And then, in order to make sure that it can actually enter into the hole reliably, we're gonna round off the top of it so that, again, the two want to join together, as opposed to just a sharp hole and just a sharp pin trying to find each other and press together. You don't wanna do that. So this is basic good design. You add in a little bit of clearance in there for the actual parts to fit together, you round off all the edges, and you allow them to actually insert correctly by deburring and getting rid of sharp corners and that kind of thing. These are all good general rules. And of course, we follow all those rules with all the rest of the cube as well, putting a chamfer on the bottom, rounding the outer corners, all the things you're supposed to do. But that's the basic stuff. We want to make this even stronger yet. So maybe this is under a lot of torque or it's sliding or something like that, and you want to make sure that there's no way that can snap off. Well, the other really basic sort of solution is to just make it shorter. These are generally better for like sliding features and that kind of thing, but they can still be useful. There is no reason to make it any longer than it has to be. If you can make it shorter, and that decreases the amount of torsion that it can occur on the base of it all. Okay, that's it for all the easy things to do. But why does this want to snap off? Well, if a force is applied to the top right here, this is effectively a lever arm, and it's going to try to bend across this lower corner down here. And then it's going to split along the layer lines. So you engineer around that. Since the layers need to have a large amount of contact between themselves in order to not split very readily, what you can do is, rather than simply just having the outer skin of a circular cross section, you can actually increase the amount of area that the layers are touching. And the very simplest version of that is doing this. Use a cross pattern. It still has the same function. It presses right into it just like that, but you have more strength because these individual sections are able to give you more strength in the direction that the push is happening. As opposed to this that just has that outer skin, and then as soon as a crack forms, it breaks on through. This has a lot more direct structural stuff in that axis to hold it together. Now we're gonna get into some subtle design tricks on this, because while this fits into this, you're gonna have to tune your clearance and your tolerances in order for those to fit every time. And if you ever move to a different machine or a different material or a different printer settings or a different resolution, it's all gonna break down. So how do you make sure that this actually fits into there every single time? The very first solution is a very simple little chamfer here. You can see just a slight draft angle. So you can make the base slightly wider than the hole, and you can make the top narrower than the hole, so that as you're pressing in, the top definitely goes in, and then you can force it in the rest of the way. So that chamfer allows you to get it worked in there, and then this cross-section design allows it to kind of wear in. So if you're gonna repeatedly do this, you can actually make sure that it starts to fit the other hole well, rather than simply going in and getting locked. This is a really good benefit of this, is that there's not direct binding of the outer walls together, and you don't have to worry about that clearance. This is a much more universal way of getting it done. But you can evolve this even more. Again, you want to sharpen off the tip of it all so that it's able to insert into the hole reliably and make sure that the base is filleted out. Or you can apply the chamfer to have it just fit in there just right and move from there. Both of them have the main cross section so that you have the maximum amount of strength that you can have, because there's the most interlayer adhesion, most surface area of each layer that you can get a hold of, which is so much better than just a simple round pin. But if surface area and outer surface contact is the goal, why not just maximize it? Why not just go the whole way? These still can have infill and are still wasting surface that could be used. Those inner corners right there could be filled up with material if you had the circle. But the problem with the circle is that it can be filled up with infill. So with our final design here, what we have done is we have wrinkled the outer edge of the circle so that you have the maximum amount of material on the outer edge where the crack would want to form, so that there's as much resistance to that as possible. But in addition to that, I put a cross on the inside of there so that this upper pin is effectively fully solid. This is something called micro features. And with micro features, what you do is you basically put a 0.2 millimeter slot into your model. And what will happen is that that effectively turns into walls inside of your model. So you're able to apply solid areas to particular areas of the model. And with those slots, I can actually drive them down, not just to the surface, but deep into this part a little ways, so that you get the maximum amount of strength that you can possibly get from a 3D printed part here. Because while all the rest of it is printed with regular infill, the pin is effectively solid, and it has enough outer surface area that cracks cannot form on those outer edges. And with a little bit of chamfering and rounding the top and all the other basic design rules, it will press together and fit perfectly every single time, regardless of what color, what material, or anything else you want to use. Now, why is it so important to make sure that you design CAD like this so that it's reliable, independent of your print settings? Well, if you ever wanted to mass produce this or have it produced on demand as a product through a print farm, like in our teleport service, where you can just upload a file and send it off to somebody, you want to make sure that it can be printed right off of any type of machine at any given time, without needing tuned or tweaked. If you're tweaking slicer settings, you are not designing a product. You are being an artisan. It's like carving wood. But if you actually design it well, then it's something that can go into a factory and be produced reliably every single time, will create a really good quality product for your customers and be more reliable than anything else you could ever possibly do. So hopefully these tricks have been a little bit useful to you in turning something like this into something like this that can actually be strong and reliable, rather than just a bunch of pins getting knocked off in shipping. You have something that can be structural, reliable, and really, really good fitting. Have a great day, everybody.